So
God is not a man or a book.
Yeah, but the thing is,
okay?
if you're saying
no book is God.
Yeah, but
the
you're
Bible
saying,
isn't God. The Quran isn't God.
Are you saying? Are you saying religions are sent by God, or they all lead to God?
They lead to God.
So if how can they lead to God?
Yes.
For example, you, as you said, you're Jew. You probably know the Tanakh.
Yeah.
You had Baal worshippers, for example, or people who worship Moloch. They would sacrifice their children to God. Is that then? Does that lead you to God in your eyes?
No, because you're
Why?
taking this child.
So then, how can you say all religions lead to God? Do you believe God revealed himself to the Israelites on Mount Sinai?
I believe God wants my religion to exist as well alongside others.
Yeah, but that's not answering my question.
Literally?
I'm asking what you believe.
I'm not sure. Really. Most people look like me do, 99.9%.
Okay. So do you believe the prophets existed?
The people, yeah. And I
Do you believe they were prophets inspired by God?
I believe they felt God speaking through them. I think you feel that too now. That doesn't mean that 100% of what they said.
So you don't believe they were inspired by God? Moses, David, Solomon?
Inspired by God, yes. But that's, you may be inspired by God as well.
No, but I'm saying in a divine sense, as in they were direct. They received that.
I don't believe humans are infallible. I don't believe we're infallible. When there's parts.
No, but I'm saying,
in the Bible,
do you believe they were?
Basis,
I'm asking, do you believe they were directly influenced by God to deliver a message to the Israelites?
I think they felt that way.
So you don't believe that?
No.
Is that what you're shooting?
I'm asking you. It's a simple question.
I don't think every word of the Bible. Well, if it's basis parts in the Old Testament.
So you're So you're more of like a cultural sort of.
I practice it very seriously. Every seventh day, I keep everything. I'm not saying I keep strict kosher. I can't eat anywhere.
But practicing is different from believing.
Well, my belief is God is much bigger than all religions. But God isn't a Jew or Christian or Hindu or Muslim. He doesn't speak one language. Doesn't belong to one country.
Do you think God's going to send conflicting, contradictory messages?
Well, I think he can. Yes, there's many paths to God, and he gives me a hint what he wants me to practice according to where I was born. So 99% of us practice what our parents practice.
So when the Quran says the Muslim, the Jews and the Christians are the worst of mankind, do you think that's from God?
I think that part is probably not God.
So you're being selective.
Well, wait, just a second. Look, I only want to worship a God that loves all people.
Right.
I know if God was a racist, bigot guy, I don't want to worship him.
So then why are you saying God gave all the religions, and when they're all contradictory, you're saying it's gay? But then when I point that out, then you're like, well, actually...
No, I'm saying they're not all perfect. It doesn't mean that everything in them is right. Yeah. I think the divine inspired. I see a lot of good in it. I think you can find all these lots of good. It doesn't mean that the parts where they say all others are crap. And basing that on what? Most of us were born into our religions. We didn't even go and seek it out. So that's, the reason I practice my religion is because God made me born to Orthodox Jews. And so I think it's giving me a hint. You can either check the 4,200 other religions out, and that's not including denominations, or practice the one I want. But that doesn't mean that everything my religion says about God, about the world, about me being some kind of chosen people. So God chooses 8 billion people.
So you believe the world is a test? Because you're saying God, there's all these different religions. Therefore, there has to be a truth, because the truth has to be objective, right?
I think that the world paths to God. Can
the truth be contradictory?
Just a second.
But this is a simple question. Can the truth be contradictory?
The truth can't be contradictory, but
right. So it has to be objective.
Yeah, but they can
So therefore, let me just finish my point. If you believe the truth is objective, there has to be an objective truth. There can be many religions, but if they all contradict each other, they cannot all be true.
Because we're doing guesswork, and we get some things very well when we talk about love and kindness and charity, and we get things very wrong. We talk about all the others.
But before we get to the point of which one is true religion,
I didn't say there's one true.
I know, but I'm saying we can eliminate the ones where they contradict. Because you said if there is a God, God has to be objectively true. Or are you saying God
has to be, but God is much bigger than religion. So God is not a man or a book.
Yeah, but the thing is, if you're saying
no book is God, the Bible isn't God, the Quran isn't God.
Are you saying religions are sent by God, or they all lead to God?
Well, they lead to God.
So how can they lead to God?
Yes.
For example, you, as you said, you're Jew. You probably know the Tanakh.
Yeah.
You had Baal worshippers, for example, or people who worship Moloch. They would sacrifice their children to God.
Right.
Does that lead you to God in your eyes?
No, because you're
Why?
taking an innocent child.
So then how can you say all religions lead to God?
Because religions have lots of good stuff in them.
So
good things in Islam, there's a lot of good ideas.
Now you're
in Islam.
saying
Not all of
now
them.
you're trying to say good things lead to God, but your initial premise was religions lead to God. But when I pointed out actually different religions teach different things, now you're readjusting your argument.
I'm not readjusting.
So then therefore sacrificing your child to God, like some of the pagan worshippers did,
Yes.
should lead, because they believe that led them to God, so you should be endorsing it.
Not if they're killing innocent children.
But if that's what's prescribed by
If
God.
if they understand Baal as the god and that's one thing.
Right.
Okay? I include Hindus in there. I'm not.
So
I'm
then
not
how do you
selective.
differentiate
But-
between what is good then?
So moral things are good.
Like what?
Okay, the way I see it, look, it's tricky for me because I don't have one man a book to tell me.
No, I'm just asking you-
But I feel
right.
like my God, in my view, He's moral. He loves His 8 billion people. Okay, He wants me to do good to them, to be nice and kind to them. When I'm doing that, when I'm connecting, helping His people, I'm doing His will. When I'm not,
How do you know His will?
I pray for it. I pray to be.
So do many people, like like many crazy people as well, pray for God's will.
Well, look,
Exactly.
well, I listen here. Some people feel God speaking through them, and I don't care what religion or no religion you believe, even atheists here. That's fine. That could also be a pastor, I don't know. But there's some people who the ego comes in, they start talking about the mothers of each other or whatever. There's one guy saying, through my face, decided I'm a piece of shit. I didn't take it personally. I just wonder if that's true. Or maybe the way I dress is what made him say that. He happened to be Muslim. But,
Okay.
But the guy there, I don't know where but I don't. I think God is bigger than a religion. That's the problem. When we put God in that kind of box, so then we commit it to everything that happens here. And religions are limited because they're given by humans, and humans are limited because we're not unfolded.
So, but the thing is, if there's a higher power,
Yes.
He has to communicate with the creation, the creator.
Yes, but it's done in a very general way.
But that's why we go back to my point. If God has communicated with humanity,
Yes.
He cannot send contradictory messages to humanity to follow.
Well, it can if not everyone has the same purpose in the world. I mean, are you practicing a specific Christianity?
Yeah, but again, that's why I said we can go back to the people who sacrifice their children.
Okay, but they sacrificed their children. The problem wasn't, okay, but if they gave charity in the name of Baal, maybe that was God's will at the time.
So then again, but you're saying, so that's why I'm saying, how do we understand what God's will is? Because there has to be a clear way to
Okay, well,
identify.
God gave us a sort of brain to think. He gave us a heart to be thinking. But let me ask you this. What denomination you belong to?
Christian.
Just
I'm
general
like
Christian?
Protestant. Well, I'm not Catholic. I'm
No,
like,
okay, what kind
yeah,
of Protestant?
Just Christian.
Pardon?
Yeah, just Christian.
So all Protestants, right? Methodists and Baptists, they're all passed to God. They all worship. They're all.
They all believe in the Bible. There's different interpretations, but they all have the same core doctrine.
Is God happy with all of them?
Well, when we die, they'll find out.
What do you think?
But the thing is, in terms of there are differences between the execution of the religion in terms of authorities, maybe, but they're not really conflicting between each other.
But you agree that you definitely have certain groups
Yes.
that aren't identical,
Yeah.
and you think
Yeah,
they're
but-
all God's thing.
No,
But
but
I
this
just
is
do it to
no,
all
but this
humanity.
is no, but this
I'm
is my
just
point.
extending it.
If they believe in the Bible, which we believe was the inspired word of God, they all look at the same thing. Now, people can interpret some things differently. That's different because you're saying God intentionally has allowed different messages to be given to people to lead them to Him. That's the difference between having a singular message and people interpreting it
just a second.
wrongly.
If
No.
you have different Protestant denominations,
Yes.
at some states, someone there gave a bit. There was someone. I don't know if you include Mormons are included.
No,
or
again-
Mormons are not included. Because if you,
No.
Mormons are included.
no.
Okay, so which? Because then they have.
Yeah, but again-
so tell me which. But
Again, my point is very simple. If you have, there is no Christian that will say, for example, kill your children. They will read the same passages and come to the same core principles. In some aspects of the religious, like executing the religion, in terms of maybe ceremonial aspects, or some, for example, you have Calvinists who believe that there's predestination, and those who aren't believe in free will. That's the difference in terms of
And then they're
interpretation.
both okay. So this fundamental thing of asking, did God decide everything, or do we have free
Right,
choice?
but
is
again-
okay. We still so
the reason why it's not an issue, because, for example, in the time of Jesus, there were Jews that differed in terms of some of the interpretations of some of the verses, where it was where they went wrong. No, I'm not talking about the Pharisees. So, for example, maybe like when the Messiah will come, or things like when they asked Jesus, "Are you the Messiah? Are you the prophet?" There was different understandings of how some of the passages could be interpreted. What I'm talking about is giving a direct message to say, do this or don't do that. This is the will of God. And you're having conflicting religions. For example,
You told me.
let me just make a point. For example, that's what I said in the Quran, where it says Jews and Christians are the worst of mankind. That goes against what the
That's against God. Okay,
right, yeah, but that's what I'm saying. So that's something very crystal clear, where I'm saying it conflicts, not just a verse where you're saying, well, we can interpret this verse in a different ways, because the guidance is still
the
there.
Old Testament, the one follow, but see,
Yes.
it says bad things about the nations that the Israelites came to, Amalek, if you know the thing.
Yeah, Amalekites. Amalekites.
It says to do terrible things.
But why would
really shocking.
why would the Amalekites kind of disparaged in the Bible?
I can get to that, but for whatever reason is, killing the babies is wrong.
Right.
Okay, and the Bible does say to do that.
Okay.
It's my Bible. I believe in
Yes.
it. I practice it.
Okay.
But I wouldn't practice that kind of thing.
Okay.
Killing babies of a nation. I don't care what they did, because that's wrong.
Okay.
And in my blood, there's no way God
Right.
actually.
Can I ask you a question? What's the point? If you say the command in the midst of basically killing the Amalek and the 7 nations, basically in the mitzvah, if you say that you can't do it, then what's the point of being an Orthodox Jew? Because being an Orthodox Jew basically means that you have to basically follow all those 630 commandments.
Well, as religion developed, they actually told us, look, we don't really know they are, they disappeared. They found solution, the rabbis found solution in order for us not to go crazy and do crazy stuff, which is in a way a good thing. And I think that, you just said Christians don't ever come to babies. But through medieval times, my people, Christians sometimes killed them. And I'm talking about the Holocaust even before that. There's a Christian in that. There were Christian people killing them. I don't think they're doing God's will. I don't disparage Christianity for that. But there were Christian people doing bad things. The Jews do bad things.
Exactly.
I live in Israel.
Yeah, but
Israeli Jews don't do bad things.
but you've made the point. That's
so
the point you've made. People can do bad things in the name of something. But does that something ascribe the people to do that? That's the difference that we're talking about.
They may have thought so.
Again, when we look at the text, for example, like the thing that you said, it doesn't say go and do this. It's not instructing them to go and do that. So I can go and stab someone and say that's in the name of you. You didn't instruct me to do that.
Right. So
But I can do that and say, oh, well, I thought you wanted me to do that.
So I treat even all the holy texts, and I'm including here, the Vedas in the Quran, the Old and New Testament, all that, as also that they take in the name of God, but sometimes they say things that there's no way God actually wants that. How could God want us to kill babies of Amalekites? That's just in my So you're right. So there's a theological price I pay for that, right? I keep Sabbath very strict. I keep kosher very strictly. I belong to this community. They see this. I don't know what they're going to think of me. But the point is that the price I get is that God stays holy and perfect and moral. He stays deeply moral, loving of his people.
But God has to be just, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and we'll wrap up in a minute. But God has to be just.
Yes.
So that's why, in terms of in the New Testament, for example, it says the wages of sin is death. So God has to punish sin. If God is perfect, as you said, God cannot also put up with evil or like wrongdoing. God has to, as a just judge.
You can hate the sinner, not the sinner. But you don't want all these Muslims to become Christians. They all have to be in Jesus in order to get to God.
Okay.
I'm asking, is that your view? There's no other way.
No.
If they're morally good
said,
people,
I'm the way, the truth. There's no other way
to
to the Father but through me.
So a good Muslim who's moral and is nice.
Even in your Tanakh, it says like good deeds are a filthy rag to God.
Yeah. You don't buy God with that.
But you see, the problem is that there's a lot of part of humanity are not salvaged and not based on the morals or the good doing, but
you see that, and this will come full circle. For example, what is a good deed? You said, for example, that you practice like orthodoxy.
Right.
Now, when Jesus came, he criticized the Pharisees. Why? They observed all the laws, but he says they were like a bag of bones inside. For example.
Oh, there's a good example.
Yeah.
If I'm not moral inside, I don't think I go to God and say,
Right.
I kept kosher Shabbat, but I was mean to Christians
exactly.
and Muslims. I think it's something straight to
Right.
hell.
So my point is essentially this, and that's why you said good deeds. According to you, you're doing good deeds.
I'm trying.
Yeah, but I'm saying even according to the words of Jesus, those good deeds makes people self-righteous. So inside they are wrong, morally wrong, but because they do the prayers and they do this, I'm a good person, and that's because Jesus criticized, like the Pharisees. They wear their phylacterals, or however you call it, the biggest ones on show to show how worthy they are. They posture in the streets, so people know who they are. They take the best seats, and they do things for appearance. So they observe the law, but they do things for appearance, but inside they're internally corrupt.
So that's what.
Yeah, okay, that's what I'm saying. So even when we go down to your criteria of good deeds, we can break down what is a good deed, because according to you, these are good deeds. Being orthodox is
no,
practicing.
but I'm not. I don't think you have to put on phylacteries. I don't think anybody.
No, but in terms of observing,
nice
but you're saying observing the laws is a good deed. Is good.
Yeah, but each man's their own religion.
No, but I'm saying to you, observing to you is good deeds.
Among other things.
Right, but I'm saying even in accordance to Jesus, that in itself wasn't a good deed.
Not itself is not enough.
Right.
I'm not sure Jesus is against keeping the law. I don't know.
Right,
Some
but that's
people
what
think it's Paul or
but that's
Peter
what I'm
started.
saying. But my point was, those Jews, the Pharisees, thought in them they were self-righteous because in themselves they believed that it was purely.
Maybe some of them were moral. I imagine some were.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. So it even goes deeper than what we believe. We think is a good deed. Good deeds can be subjective. And that's why I'm saying Jesus criticized the Pharisees. Like in the New Testament, there's a part where one of the I think the Sadducees, he prays and says, "God, thank you, I'm not like these heathens." And there's another person who says, "God, I'm a sinner." He's ripping his clothes and crying and repenting. Jesus favors the person who's tearing his clothes because that's true repentance. It wasn't about just the deeds. He acknowledged his sinful nature.
But Jesus did say very much, did very much talk about the morals and that.
Yes.
I agree. I just think that here it's great. People talk in that thing.
Yes.
But in the world, there's been wars, terrible wars.
Yeah, of course.
Okay?
That's human nature.
Pardon?
That's human nature.
It's human nature, but I'm wondering if the Afghanistan war, the Iraq war, which is really shocking, would have happened. Or the wars we have in Palestine all the time. What would happen if people were less fanatic about thinking their religion is the only one path to God? And does God up there really look and be happy about that? Or does he love us and say, stop fighting. You're okay. Just be good, practicing, go to the church or the mosque or the synagogue or the temple.
But essentially all I'm saying is the sort of liberal kind of kumbaya philosophy which you're promoting is not true. Because look, I will even give you one more passage from Islam. This is from Sahih Muslim. It's a hadith.
Has a nice song. It's not such a bad thing.
But look, the last hour would not come unless the Muslims will fight against the Jews and the Muslims will kill them until the Jews would hide themselves behind a stone or a tree, and the stone or a tree would say, "Muslim," or the servant of Allah, "There was a Jew behind me. Come and kill him." But the tree, Garad, would not say, "For it is the tree of the Jews."
I'm very familiar with this.
Right. So do you believe this is from God according to you?
This is not from God.
No.
But I go into Palestinian villages dressed like this by myself, and they're always nice to me.
That's
and no one's going to hate
because
me.
it's not.
They all come to me. They feed me. I'm not allowed to eat everything.
Because this is talking about the last hour. When it's the last hour, you go to that same village, and then we'll see you. You know,
look,
you'll be hiding behind the tree as well.
We all have it. Forget that. We'll wait for the last hour.
But wait,
it's never here.
But this is why I'll bring my point back. For whoever's reading this, killing a Jew will be a good deed.
If he chooses to take it literally. If someone's moral, he will interpret it.
But that's what I'm saying. There has to be an objective truth. You can't have contradictory truth. So therefore,
if I would take it literally, if I take Amalekite strictly,
how would you then interpret it metaphorically?
Well, like they did jihad. They said jihad doesn't mean literally war, it means theological war. And there might not be the simple meaning of the Quran, but it's helpful. Many Muslims are practicing saying, okay, we have to use the logical. We have to go to Hyde Park and argue instead of going to fight. And even if it's inaccurate, it's a good solution. The rabbis have to do some Amalekites, we don't know who they are, they disappear.
But it's not the true solution. And even with the Amalekites, you actually don't know who they are.
Okay, but what if we did?
If you did, that's up to you to.
I would never kill a baby.
Right, but the whole point is,
for any
wait,
reason.
actually,
But
let me.
no God, my God would never
Firstly,
want
that would be up to you, because the reason why I say it's be up to you
Because you have a New Testament.
Exactly.
I know.
You see? Thank you very much.
Okay, but
Right.
yeah.
I know.
The New Testament has a few things that are a little.
Well,
not
we got,
everything.
we-
Less in the Quran, Old Testament.
So that's why you say love your neighbor as you love yourself. Do unto those as you would have them do unto you. Which
says,
if we actually look, and this is the thing,
And our neighbor doesn't have to
and
be
this
our
is
religion.
why, just to finish, why you should reject your orthodoxy. Because actually you said we should all do good, but tell me one thing wrong about the teachings of Christ. The teachings of Christ is even better than what you're following, because you say we should all love each other. And what was the teaching of Christ? Love your neighbor as you love yourself. Do unto others
That's
as you
already in the
have.
Old Testament, and that golden rule exists in all religions.
But you just
Islam has
said,
it.
for example, kill the Amalekites.
Okay, but what do you mean
and-
better? There's no better. God gave me a sign.
So
He
would
brought
you
me.
like people to
Were
treat?
you born Christian?
Would you
Were
like?
you born a
Would you
Christian?
like answer this question? Would you
Yes.
like people to treat you as the way you would treat them?
Yes.
So you can't get better than that. That's why I'm saying it's better.
But I'm trying to do that now.
No, but I'm saying when you follow your 634 laws, there are things you may not agree with.
Okay, but in everyday life, that's usually not enough.
But that's what I'm saying. The message of Christ, there's nothing that you disagree with. But within the orthodoxy, there are things that you disagree with.
I know about Mexico. Look, there's some places in the gospel,
wait,
they seem a little, the Jews...
So if you were born into orthodoxy, you now have a conscious choice to make. But you're saying, well, I was born into it, but now, for example, God could be putting me here to make you think about making a change in your life. So therefore, if you reject it, you can't use the excuse of, well, God, you put me into orthodoxy, because you've now got a choice.
Well, that depends on the message. If something in our interaction makes me a better person, kinder, yes. If it makes me convert to a different religion, why? We're all past to God.
Because I'm saying
God
to
already
you,
gave me a sign.
I said to you, can you think of anything that I said, within orthodoxy, there's things you disagree with. You've now agreed there's things in Christianity that you don't, there's nothing that you disagree with in terms of the message of Christ. So therefore, I'm saying...
I agree. I disagree with the fact that the only path to him is through him.
Yeah, but I'm saying,
saying
even on the principle of it's a better, that would make you a better person by following what Christ says. Therefore, you should transition from what you used to believe to something even better, because that is evolution. You see?
I don't accept the fact that Jesus said that's the only way.
It doesn't matter. Forget that part at the moment. I'm saying you're being contradictory because I'm presenting you first and foremost of a better lifestyle, but you're choosing to
better lifestyle
because there's nothing. Because there's nothing you disagree with morally.
God may not want it, but what's he up against it?
Again, you said there's certain things you follow in the orthodoxy and there's things you disagree with. I'm saying, so if there's things you disagree with,
in practice is not much, because what do you have to do?
Not much means some things, and there are things that you say, for example, they explain away.
Okay.
Do you want to stone adulterers?
No.
All right. So therefore, that is still part of your orthodox beliefs.
Okay.
So therefore, that's not
Do you
prescribed by
solve
Jesus.
everything?
Huh?
What's your view on LGBTQIA+?
That's something different.
Maybe, but if it's not, accept them as they are, then why would I join you? You also have bigger
what
ideas.
is love your neighbor as you love yourself?
Love everyone,
Right.
regardless of religion, gender.
Right. So therefore, if someone's LGBTQ, we still love them as a human being. We can still show them dignity as human beings.
But they're wrong.
We can disagree with what they might do, but that like for example, some people smoke. You might disagree with him. It doesn't mean you're not going to love the person or have respect for them or treat them inhumanely. So we can have differences in terms of things that people do, but ultimately we still respect their dignity as a human. And that is essentially the underpinning of the Christian faith. That everyone is made in the image of God and everyone has dignity. And we should essentially treat them in that way.
But for me, it wouldn't be evolution because they're equal.
Well, again, you see,
they're asking the Christianity thing. And your religion did bring some people, as you said, in the name of God doing wrong. So that's not a condemnation of all Christianity. Is everything Jews imperfect? All Jews people behave properly?
But that's a
No.
tangent. We're talking about what the core text says. So what people do is irrelevant.
Okay, you
like
just
for
gave
myself.
The core text is Jesus said the only way to me is through me.
I'm saying,
and I believe Islam is just as good. And even Hindu. And even atheism is the way to God.
But I've just read to you,
Even
for
if they don't
example, a hadith from the Quran. For a hadith. You disagreed with it.
I don't think they should be looking in Iraq to kill Jews, but most Muslims
Right.
don't do that. They never do it to me. I go through Palestinian villages every day. They're always nice to me.
It says the last hour. Can you go to anywhere in the UAE in Arabic? Do you have an Israeli passport?
Yeah, of course.
Can you go to all? Can you go to all Arabic countries?
No, I go on my Australian passport.
You see.
But just a second.
Why don't you use your Israeli
and
passport?
all Christian governments are great. Was Trump a great president? Was Bojo great? I mean, what's it say? That doesn't. I mean, so there's regimes that are bad. I don't even like the regime in my own country. Okay, in Israel. I feel it's way too right-wing and way too Islamophobic for my taste. Okay, so, but that doesn't mean on the people. The people.
So if you don't agree with the government, so why are you attacking Israel?
Pardon?
Why you keep us from that? And if you don't agree so much with the government, if you're just too right wing, why are you keep us from that? Why are you attacking them?
First of all, I don't know if it's a telomere radio. I'm somewhere in between, but what's the government has to do with that? I don't think it comes from religion what the governments do. I mean, maybe. I think if religion affects it, but I just think it's. I don't know. They use religion. They use religion.
Okay. Well, it was a nice conversation. Yeah, I'll wrap up
Great to
anyway.
see.
Cool.
Right, wrap up. What happened there?
Yeah, just do a quick wrap up. So essentially, this conversation, I can't even remember how it started. We started talking about something, and it just essentially it went into religions, and he was saying essentially, as a Jew, well, he's not an strictly Orthodox Jew. He said he follows the Orthodoxy, but in belief, he's not fully Orthodox. So we discussed about the best way to, like, if God is communicating with humanity, there only has to be one objective way, one objective truth. God cannot send contradictory messages. And obviously then we evolved into looking at the principles that Jesus lived by. So even as someone who is sort of liberal in their opinions, he couldn't disagree with any of the teachings of Christ. But then if you don't disagree with any of the teachings of Christ and you cannot say there's a better way, then that is something that you should be. So on that note, we clearly see Jesus as the way, the truth, and the life, and it offers a better way of living and the route to salvation.
Recto. Well done, Paperboy.